Okay, so now that you know, you've got the clarity, the understanding of the three principles, right? Mind, thought, consciousness, energy, ideas, and our ability to believe that those are real. And perception, right? You're able to perceive your life, your circumstances, the things going on within your being from a third person perspective. So it's going to give you an alternate way to see everything that's going on. Now, what do you do next? Like, how do you use those, what you've learned, to shift your thinking and to allow you an immediate transformation into who you want to become, not just who you are today, wishing you were a little bit better, a little bit strong, a little bit more confident, a little bit more something. Okay, so now that you've got the shift, right, or you at least know what the shift entails, let's get you shifted. Okay, so the next thing you need to know is a couple of things that are important and that we're going to be discussing kind of ongoing as you kind of plug into what it is we're doing here. And that is one thought away. You've probably heard one thought away. And if you haven't, you're going to hear it a whole bunch, but you're one thought away from being or doing whatever it is that you want to be or do, right? If you're not happy, you're one thought away from being happy. If you wish you could feel sad, you're one thought away from feeling sad. Okay, a lot of one thought away is used by actors and actresses. Why? Because they can instantly reach those places in their mind to bring out the emotional state of mind they need to be in, that context, in an instant by thinking one thought. Okay, for each person, it's a different thought, but you get to find out now what your go-to thoughts are so that you can stream them in your mind in an instant by simply pushing play, right? And I don't know if I've told you this before. If you haven't heard this before, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. But it's what I end up calling mind trails, right? We have these trails in our mind that are all created by the neurosynapses. And so we end up having, each time we have a thought, it has to travel through our brain, right? And it travels through our brain, through the neurosynapses, and it goes through from neuron to axon, blah, 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 all the way through. As it does it the very first time you're thinking a thought. Now, whether that thought is learning to play the piano, ride a bike, shoot an arrow, write, draw, whatever the case may be, the first time you have a thought, even if it's, oh, I'm not a good person, or I'm a failure, whatever the thought is you're having, it's like a little mouse running through a grass field. Doing, 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 doing. It has to kind of bounce around in your brain, and it's slow. It's slow in an overall context. For easy understanding, it's slow. Okay, it happens in a millisecond, like it's almost nearly instantaneous. But for the most part, the first time you have a thought, it has to find its path through your brain. The second time you think that thought, it's already thought it once, the path is carved. Now it just has to take it a little bit faster. So imagine a rabbit running down a little grass trail. The second time you have that thought, it's a little bit quicker. Okay, then it's like a deer running. Then it's like a car running down a dirt road. Then it's like a car on a street. Then a freeway. Then a bullet train. Okay, so after you've thought that same thought 100 times, 40, 50, 60, 100 times, it's instantaneous. It can happen so quickly that thought happens before you realize you've thought the thought. However, how do we know we are thinking something? Typically by our emotional state. Our emotional state or our state of mind is brought on by our thinking and felt through our emotions, which means the first time you have a thought, you have to concentrate on it. But eventually the thought becomes automatic and happens so quickly you don't even realize you thought the thought, you just feel the emotion. So if you've ever been doing something and then all of a sudden you just feel this wave of emotion coming over you, it's because your brain started to think the thought. It was triggered by something you saw, you ate, you tasted, you smelled, you touched. It's triggered by something, and then that emotion follows immediately because the thought happened like a bullet train through your head. If you want to change the way you change the way you feel by changing the way you think or changing what you think. Okay, we've talked about this in the 3 principles, mind, thought, and consciousness. When you change the thought you're thinking or you restream to a new channel, you distract yourself, you think about something different very, very quickly, you find your one happy thought, and you grab onto it. It will change your emotional state of mind as quickly as you changed your thought. Now, people get confused because they think but I pushed pause on the other channel and now I'm pushing play on this other channel, but that's still there and I haven't processed it. Cool. You don't have to process everything. You don't have to watch everything. I'm going to argue that you haven't watched everything on TV or in the movies anyway. In fact, I'm going to guess that there are particular genres of entertainment that you avoid. Okay, I don't know if it's westerns you don't like, if it's musicals you don't like, if it's horror films you don't like, if it's gore you don't like, if it's sci-fi you don't like, maybe you don't like action, maybe you don't like drama, maybe you don't like period films, maybe you don't like documentaries, but I guarantee there's some stuff that you don't care for, that you don't ever tell yourself, well, I need to process everything and I need to go back and watch the crap I didn't want to see, I didn't want to watch, I didn't want to experience. But I feel like that's part of the process. Okay, guess what? It's not. You don't have to go back and press play on any of those emotions you don't want to. Okay, that's the beauty, is you get freed up to realize thought is thought, and you don't have to believe everything you think. So if you don't want to experience that terrible thought, those awful emotions that come with that line of thinking, okay, don't. Just don't. And it isn't, you're bottling it up and it's going to come back later. My ass, it doesn't come back later unless you what? Go to that channel and press play. Otherwise, it's gone. When's the last time you thought about that country western musical documentary that you never wanted to watch? How often do you go back and go, oh my God, that's still there. That's still on the show. It's still, I pushed play a while ago and then I pushed pause and then I've never gone back and I really am feeling drawn to go back and finish watching that crappy bit of entertainment. I feel like I need to go back and do that. You don't. You don't need to do that with any of the other emotional garbage that you don't want to have to go through anyway. Okay, so you get to decide today what it is you spend your thoughts on. Okay, we have limited resources as human beings here on Earth. Okay, I'm not going to get into, we only have so much oil. We have limited resources in that we have limited time, right? We don't have a long time here on this earth each other. We have a specific finite amount of seconds and minutes that we get to spend doing things. Okay, what do we do with those things? What do we do with that time that we're given? Okay, we've got a start date and we have an end date. We don't know what the end date is, but there's some time in the middle that we get to do with it what we want. Do we want to spend it with the people that we love, building relationships and doing things that we find valuable and important? Or do we want to spend it worrying about worrying about crap, fretting, being anxious, being self-conscious, thinking we're not good enough? Do we want to do that, or do we want to go, oh my God, let's set that down for a minute and then let's move on? All of those negative things and all those bad things, I consider them like a brick. Okay, you put that brick in your backpack. Okay, you put it in your backpack, and that's the backpack you wear every single day, filled with these bricks of garbage that you don't want to have to carry. And you think to yourself, well, yeah, but I gotta carry, this is my burden. All right, it is until you set it down. You get to decide when you set it down. And there are times in your life when you forget about that backpack and you set it at the door. And then you go in and you have a great time wherever you're at. And then you're getting ready to leave and you're like, oh crap. It's kind of like Monday morning or Sunday night where you're like, oh crap, I had an amazing weekend with my friends and my family. We had a barbecue. Everything was awesome. But I got to go back to work tomorrow. And so you put that backpack back on of all the crap that you have to start. You put yourself into a frame of mind, a state of mind that says, oh, I have to do all the things I don't want to do. I have to be who I don't want to be. I have to act the way I don't want to act. I have to live the life I don't want to live. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to. Okay? It's all about the way you think about those things, the state of mind you're in when you consider those. Too often people say, oh, no, but I got to be motivated. You know what? I can't do things unless I'm motivated. I have to find the motivation to do those things. No, you don't. First of all, no, you don't. Do you even find the motivation to go to work? I have always said that there's two types of motivation, and this is the confusion that most people find. Okay, and they end up watching these other coaches and garbage shit on TikTok or Instagram that's like, oh, I'm rich and it's because I found the motivation to succeed. Wrong. Okay, you're being fed this ridiculous notion that motivation is something you have to find and get, and then it's this beautiful eagle that flies you to where you want to go. And that's simply not the case. Us as human beings are always motivated. Okay, it just floors me when I hear people say, well, I've just lost motivation. No, you haven't. It's shifted. Motivation is always there. We always have motivation. Okay, the master key to motivation, the thing that makes understanding motivation so simple is this: we always do what we want to do more. That's it. Okay, that's it. That's the master key to motivation. We will always do what we want and what we feel like doing more. That's it. So you say, well, yeah, but I go to work and I don't feel motivated to go to work. Yes, you do. Okay, there are seriously two types of emotion or two types of motivation. And so the two types of motivation that I consider to be the rules for motivation are inertial motivation and, oh shoot. Well, okay, my brain's gone. The two types of motivation are this. One motivation is to continue and maintain what you have, what you're doing, and not change. And the other motivation is for change. Now, the trouble is that most people are trying to convince you that you need to find the motivation to change. Okay, you don't need the motivation to change. Because here's the thing. That type of motivation is a bonfire that burns hot and quickly and goes out. And then the normal, everyday motivation is the motivation that says objects in motion tend to stay in motion and objects at rest tend to stay at rest. You are highly motivated as a human to continue doing what you're doing. Now, a lot of people will tell you that that's your rut. Okay. That's because ruts are comfortable. That's the easiest way to travel, right? Get in a rut and keep going. Now, here's the difference. I say pick your rut. Okay, you're in a rut and you don't want to leave. Okay, so you can either wait for the motivation to switch ruts, or you can just do it. Okay, here's the thing. If you wait for the motivation to switch ruts, you switch, and now you feel this weird anxiety to keep switching. But you might be in the right place, but you have the wrong type of motivation, so it has you switch back, or it has you switch too far. That's the wrong kind of motivation to look for and to desire. You should be desiring the motivation that you're already consumed with. And that is the motivation to not change. Okay? It is the motivation that makes life so easy, so simple. If you learn to harness that motivation, then doing everything else in life becomes super simple. Okay, Nike had it right when they said just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Switch ruts. You already have the motivation to stay in the rut you're in. So if you force yourself into a different rut, you will be highly motivated to stay in that rut and not change. Why? Because that's your new rut. That's your new constant. You will stay there. If it's eating better, just don't wait for the motivation to start eating different. Because then you're going to eat different. And you're going to be, oh, that is still, I feel anxious. I need to keep going. Rather, force yourself to just start eating different. And then you'll go, well, I don't want to change again. I'm going to stick with this. And you'll stay in that rut. And you will, consistency is the key to getting you to where you want to go. Okay? If you're trying to head to there, You have to take a step and then another step and then another step, and consistently taking steps towards that goal will ultimately get you there. Now, the rut that you're in now may be going around the thing that you want. So what do you need to do? Force yourself to switch ruts to head where you want to go. Because once you're headed where you want to go, that's what's going to make you successful. So don't wait for motivation. Force yourself to change. That's a simple, momentary feeling of discomfort for a long-term maximum gain. That is easy because you're now in your normal rut. That'll take you where you want to go. All right. The next one's law of attraction. We've talked about law of attraction before. So many people get it wrong, and that's because they think they can use basically the three principles, mind, thought, and consciousness, that you can use like attracts like, that if they want to create or manifest something out of energy, that they can use that manifestation to manifest their new reality that didn't exist before. Okay, and my belief in that is a misunderstanding. Okay, you can't see something that isn't there. You can't manifest a bag of sugar in the pantry that's not there. Okay, if there's no sugar in the pantry, there's no sugar in the pantry. Plain and simple. You can't, law of attraction, manifest hard enough to create sugar from energy to appear in the pantry. Not going to happen. But I can tell you this, that if you are distracted, if your mind is not primed to see the sugar, and you look in the pantry, you will not see the sugar. And that is what happens with most of us in our lives. There are opportunities all around us for success and for us to be in a better place or do things differently that would be much, much easier. And we don't see those opportunities. Why? Because we're primed to not see them. We prime our brains to only see the negative and to see the way things can possibly go wrong. Okay, my example, and I've given it a bunch of times, is the bag of sugar one. And the reason that I use the bag of sugar is because my wife, I'll give you the story. A few years ago, I was in the kitchen. Well, my wife was in the kitchen making cookies in the KitchenAid. And she asked me, honey, would you please grab me the sugar? Now, I knew there was no sugar in the pantry. Okay, I was sitting on the sofa. I was playing Xbox with my kids. I didn't want to get up from the sofa anyway. But I knew there was no sugar because it was Friday night, and on Thursday, I had just used the last of the sugar out of the, well, I think it's actually Rubbermaid, not Tupperware, Rubbermaid container. I dumped the last of the sugar out of that into the jar so that I can make simple syrup for my cold brew iced coffee that I make. Okay, so I made that on Thursday, the day before, and I had written sugar on the refrigerator on the list. So when she said, honey, will you please get me the sugar out of the pantry? I'm making cookies. I said, ooh, I should have told you this before. I used the last of the sugar already. I used it yesterday, but I wrote it on the list. There's no sugar in the pantry. And she said, there is sugar in the pantry. Would you please get up off your butt and go to the pantry and get me the sugar? Fine. I said, pause the game. I open up the pantry. We had bifold doors. I bifold the doors open. We have a shelf. It's the third shelf. It was the third shelf down. We have a section for baking stuff. I said, I'm looking at the stuff. I'm looking at the Rubbermaid container. It is empty, just like I said. And she said, would you please grab me the sugar and bring it over here so I can finish making the cookies? And I know that I had a tendency not to be able to see things. And she has made me very aware that I can't find anything because I don't move anything. Okay, so I grabbed 2 items off of the shelf. I looked. No sugar. I put it back. And I said, honey, there's no sugar in the pantry. I did pick up and move things, so I know there's no sugar in the pantry. And she said, are you being serious right now? Grab me the sugar and bring it over here. And so I watched this, and I grabbed the 2 items, and I looked, no sugar, put them back. And the look on her face was like pale white. And she walks over to me, and she's like, honey, are you being serious right now? I said, yes, there's no sugar in the pantry. I already told you multiple times there's no sugar in the pantry. There is no sugar in the pantry. And I physically could not see any sugar in the pantry. And she walked over to me and she put her finger in front of my face and she said, well, and she actually went boop, and she booped my nose, which I don't really like. And she said, let me show you something. Follow my finger. And she took her finger and she went beep, and she touched it on top of a bag of sugar. which was something I'd picked up in my left hand 2 separate times and couldn't see it as sugar. And the minute she touched it and I saw it as sugar, I thought, well, what the crap just happened? That wasn't sugar a minute ago. And I was convinced it wasn't sugar. And I was like, and my brain spinning and going crazy. And I'm thinking, what in the world is going on? Because I picked that bag up 2 times. I think I was looking for a bag with like pink writing on it or something. And that one has green, or vice versa. It was green writing. I was looking for pink, whatever. But I thought, this is insane. What the crap is going on? So I went back. I ended up talking to my supervisor at work, who's a therapist. I said, I don't understand what's going on. And that's kind of when he clued me into the RAS in your brain, and how if you prime your brain to see something, you will see it. And if you're primed to not see it and you believe you will not see it, your brain wants to make you right, and it will not allow you to see it. So how do we use that with the law of attraction? And that is this. If you are looking for the way something can work, the positive outcome that you want, then you will see it. How? Because if you're primed to believe it exists and that is in fact your one way, then you will target it and you will see it. And when you look into reality, you look around, you go, oh my gosh, that's the way. If you're primed to believe it doesn't exist, you won't see it because you'll be so distracted with all the 99 other ways that something will not work. Okay, so if you want to use the law of attraction to bring into your life that which you want, then you need to believe that you are the person that deserves those things and that has those things already. Okay, so if you were to say to yourself, I wish I had, what you're telling your brain is, I don't have, and I wish I did, but I don't have it. But I don't have it. Whereas if you were to say, I am a confident person, and rather than I wish I was a competent person or a confident person, if you're looking for that confidence, then you'd say, I am a very confident person. And then your brain goes, oh crap, let's make them right. And we'll show you ways in which you have exhibited confidence in the past, and it will make you feel more confident. So you can manifest confidence by saying you are a confident person, yes, but you can't manifest sugar in the pantry if there's no sugar there. All right, the next one is state of mind. We've talked about state of mind. State of mind is the frame of mind, or the state of mind, the filter that we are using to see and interpret reality and what's going on around us. Okay, you can shift your state of mind if you want, and that is the next section. Shifting your state of mind is easy. I've written down, if you're interested, check out the list below. I've written down multiple ways you can shift your thinking. I love distraction. Just distract yourself really quick, or use your one thought. Grab your one thought and then think about that. You'll shift your mind instantaneously anyway. But if you feel like you need a little extra help, check out the list below. There's a lot of things like using mindfulness, basically using hobbies and things that you love. And the reason that I love to use those is because it puts you into flow. And when you get into a flow state, you lose track of everything else in reality. You lose track of time and distance, space, all of those things, because you're just in your flow. You're just doing what you love. Just try and spend more time in your flow if you haven't been spending enough time in there. And then the next thing that you're probably going to want to consider is having a coach. Okay? Having somebody to help you make all of these steps and these changes and these things that you want to make in the future and in the present, right? So a coach can help you stay focused. It can help keep you accountable. And then it can also bring to the forefront of your mind those little tiny tips that you wouldn't have otherwise thought of. It's basically, you can learn all of these things on your own, right? You can. But having a coach is kind of like having a guide or a shortcut, a Sherpa to help you up the mountain. Now, you still have to climb the mountain, but having somebody tell you where to step is much, much easier than trying to figure it all out on your own. Okay, I would love to be your coach if you're interested in that. I'm more than happy to do in-person coaching for those who need it. But to be honest, I feel like most of us just need simple little reminders. And I do that with a series on videos. I do have some courses that you can take that'll help you on goal setting, goal achievement, and also changing yourself if you're feeling completely burnt out. Anyway, there's a bunch of different things. If you're interested at all in staying current with all of what's going on here at aaronjarrels.com, that is the easiest way to do that, is to become an insider and get the newsletter. Now, I would love to tell you, and I'm going to put it in there that it's a monthly newsletter, but I'm going to have to be honest with you. It doesn't come out every month. And the reason it doesn't is because I don't always have something that I find so valuable, so important, that I think everyone needs to know as often as I would like, right? Because things don't change. And I think to myself, well, you already know this. I'm going to try and get better. I'm going to try and do it a little bit more often and send out a monthly newsletter that's at least monthly. And I'm hoping to eventually get it to bi-monthly. But at this point, I don't want to blow up your inbox if you're not interested in having a ton of extra stuff. All I'm going to give you is a little reminder to say, hey, take care of yourself, right? Access your innate health, your innate well-being. Like, consider yourself, give you a tap on the shoulder to remind you to use an alternative perspective so that you can see the things you're going through in your life just a little bit differently, and it might just give you the insight you need to make better choices. All right, I hope that helps. I hope to see you on the inside in my insiders group. So if you haven't already, take a second, sign up for the newsletter. And other than that, I guess, see you later. Bye.